time no see, right? I was very busy at work, so I had no time at all to film anything. I also had friends coming over here. So work and friends saved me 300 euros at least. Today, I'm talking about things that I placed in my cart. I was sure to buy them, and then they sold out before I could finalize the purchase. But right now, after a while, I'm so glad I had my friends coming over and be distracted, because with the huge amount of makeup I have, I'm even relieved I didn't add anything more. So products that I truly wanted but sold out before I was able to purchase them. First of all, the Dior Brown Brocart. Well, that palette was so tempting. It was sold out. Then I decided it was fine, because ultimately is a neutral palette in a formula that is not my favorite. It's good for Dior, but it's not my all-time favorite, right? And I have two alternatives that are fine, but even better for me. One is my favorite neutral palette, that is the Byredo one, the Bibliophilia palette. This cooler tone part is amazing. I'm constantly using it, and yeah, I truly wished this palette was split in half, because this would be much more practical, smaller, instead of this part that I never reach for. There are some shades that are even never swatched, like this one or this one. I don't like them at all. However, I love this part, and this saved me from many temptations. So brown brocart is the first one, and you may think, oh, wow, this is different, but not really, because there's a brown, and then the apricot shade I can find easily in other eyeshadows I have, because orange is something that I never buy, but it comes back to my collection because I get it included in other palettes. And then the peculiarity of that palette was that duochrome in the middle that was greenish, and also those greenish taupe, but I'm perfectly fine by layering a brown and on top something like, for example, those sage greens from Lisa Eldridge from the Sorcery palette. I'm talking about this shade, for example, and it's fine. This is the same tone of taupes that are in the brown brocart, and one is even more plain silver that is less interesting. So with this one, together with this that I swatched before, that is practically this duochrome by Wycon. This is the number 7 Visionary eyeshadow, and this is much more intense compared to the middle shade by Dior. It's chunkier, that's true, but still is, you know, that type of duochrome greenish gold. And by layering these with the brown, this is practically the look of that brown brocart palette. So I'm fine with it. These are for free because are already in my collection, so I saved at least 50 euros, if even more. Then the Yves Saint Laurent 9 Pan palette. Well, that one is a warmer and darker version of this part. I mean, from that palette, I would have used only the bottom row that has a taupe, but this is a taupe that I like more because it's lighter, and then medium brown and the black, but I prefer this one that is a black and brown. So this 9 Pan is superior in my opinion, both in formula and color story for me, compared to that Yves Saint Laurent 9 Pan. So I truly don't need it. What I love from that palette is, yeah, is a 9 Pan, not a 18 Pan. So this half would have been the perfect replacement for that. So this is bulkier, this palette by Byredo, but yeah, I like this much more. Also, this saved me from the FARA HOMIDI trio, because yeah, that is more cream to powder, but has a glow. Maybe I will try a refill. Maybe I will buy a refill, not the one with the blue, but the one with the brown. But still, it's a combo of a yellowish browns together with a dark brown. So this trio here, this is my favorite shade ever in my collection. I definitely will eat pan on it. This is much lighter compared to the FARA HOMIDI, and then this one is maybe closer to the lightest shade in the FARA HOMIDI, and then this one, Wow. But you see the glow. Let me show you better. This skin-like quality that looks hydrated and youthful. That is the concept also of FARA HOMIDI, right? But this has less emollient quality compared to FARA HOMIDI. So in my opinion, this trio is the closest to that FARA HOMIDI one, and a little bit more powdery and less glowy compared to the FARA HOMIDI. But we are almost there. I will probably try the FARA HOMIDI because I'm very curious, but I think I identify precisely the category where it is a cream to powder, more on the cream side, is more creamy. This is more a cream to powder, more on the powdery side. So to me, this is the perfect alternative, and I can definitely skip the FARA HOMIDI. So yeah, I will think about it. Not a necessity. It's on my wish list, but for now I resisted. But for the YSL Nude Glow, yeah, it's a no. That palette is too warm for me, with the exception of the last row. And also the shimmers. I love the mattes from Yves Saint Laurent. They are on par with these by Byredo, to be honest. Those are more powdery, but the colors there are darker, so I prefer the Byredo. And the shimmers, yeah, those by Yves Saint Laurent can be either glittery, but I don't think there are glittery shades in that 9 pan. But yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not totally a fan of those metallic shades by Yves Saint Laurent. Byredo has more variety, so I'm totally fine with Byredo, especially because of the color story that is more targeted to my skin tone. The Nude Glow is more universal for warmer skin and is a better alternative to the Quad 710, I think it was. But yeah, anyway, I managed to skip. I was ready to purchase that palette, but I missed it, and I don't regret it. I'm relieved I didn't incorporate it in my collection. Hermès Soleil. I put it in my cart. I wanted to buy it from Cult Beauty because then I get points, and then I can have some discounts after I accumulate some points, right? So I wanted to purchase from Cult Beauty, but it was sold out in a few hours. So I placed in the cart in the morning, and in the evening when I was ready to buy it, it was gone. And guys, I'm glad I didn't buy it. First of all, yeah, that palette has talc, and this has not. I still have this one, and yeah, I'm not a fan. I use sometimes, but I'm not a fan of it, guys. I don't know. This is a talc-free version. Check my Vinted if you're interested. I want to sell it 30% off because I don't think I will use it. So I always put my Vinted link down below. The packaging is big, is satisfying, and I have also all the original boxes. The orange one. It's a nice pleasure, but yeah, when it comes to true usage, I don't use it a lot. And the problem, this at least has a nice color as a blush for me, but that bronzer by Hermès, what I liked from that is the possibility to separate the shades if you use a small brush, because they are practically stripes. But first of all, is orange. Reviewers have purchased the palette, and sometimes it's also a bias, right? It's bad to say, oh, this is orange, but the truth is that one. So it's great for a warmer skin. It's less orange than the Dior. We are going to that in a moment, but still, his kind of an apricot type of undertone, so is better for warmer skin, but for neutral cool skin, I personally don't like it. And if you think of something that I like more texturally, where you have a warmer bronzer like this, for example, a light glow with a great texture, and then you have a pinkier blush, right? And then you have more of a coral one. This is the concept, right? And yeah, you know what? This is the Dior palette by Hourglass that I prefer even more texturally. And you have more choice and you pay less. So these palettes by Hourglass, in my opinion, are the best purchase during a holiday. And yeah, the concept is similar, right? Because you have those glowy powder that give an hint of color, and the Hourglass bronzers are always warmer for me, but at least this is not as orange as Hermès. And the quality of Hourglass, in my opinion, is superior. I personally prefer it. You have seen demos in the past. It goes beautifully as airbrush. So Hourglass to me is unbeatable. And the concept of that Soleil bronzer by Hermès is practically here. Separable shades, I can mix and match. I have other options here, beautiful highlighter too. So yeah, much better value for same type of elevated quality and high-hand experience, in my opinion. So I'm glad I missed it because I rediscovered this. And this is perfect for summer. I was not totally a fan of this when I purchased it, but I'm rediscovering now when I have light skin, not tan yet, but still I want something, you know, more summery. And this is a color story that is perfect for this time of the year. Speaking about Hourglass, another palette that I put in my cart, then I decided to step back and avoid it, is the Quad, exclusive Quad by Cult Beauty. Well, I think that personally, the 6 pans are better, in my opinion. First of all, they are more special in terms of the packaging. The size of the single pan is the same. And yeah, usually they have more variety because they offer the ambient lighting powders, highlighter, bronzer, and blushes. This is usually the case. That palette is a blush palette. The problem is that I've seen swatches is orange, is very warm. So with the exception of the mood exposure at the bottom right. So it's not the palette for me and not fan of the packaging. And to be totally honest, okay, I like the 6 pan, but my favorite format is the trio because the trio has bigger pans, and especially when it comes to bronzer, I want bigger pans. That palette is a blush palette, but the main reason why I didn't purchase, I managed to step back and avoid the purchase, is that it's warm, it's orange, it's too orange for me. I have multiple palettes of this, they're more or less the same. Last thing that sold out that I had in my cart, wanted to buy, was the Quad by RMS. I was influenced by the video by Lexi because I think for brown eyes or hazel eyes, that Rebel Glow Quad, even if it's too dark and maybe it doesn't have a lot of contrast, you can say whatever, but it's beautiful on brown eyes and hazel eyes. So I like the effect on her, on Lexi Young, and I wanted, but it was sold out. Now it's back in stock at Cult Beauty. But you know what? I think I will stick to my initial plan to buy only, for now, the Celestial Glow and then start from there. So I will wait to Celestial Glow. I think it will be available in Europe at the end of April. So I will wait for that. And once I buy it, I will definitely report back. Now in this section of the video, we'll talk about what I decided not to. They were available for purchase, but I decided just to avoid the purchase. One is the Hourglass, as I said, the Hourglass Quad, and then the Dior summer collection. Those daisies are nice, but they are more spring to me rather than summer. This is a nice example of a collection that you may buy just for the packaging. Let's be honest. I think the best pieces from that collection is the bronzer and that quint with the blue shade. But the quint is practically transparent, and I like transparency, you know, those sheer shade, but the texture should be Byredo one or Suku one. Those are the ones that truly elevate my eyes, or the Hartley ones, right? The Dior formula is not my favorite, and therefore I'm not keen on buying something so sheer. This is superior in my opinion compared to Dior, so I will stick to what I have practically. And that Pop of Blue, I tried already in Chanel Rivage that I decluttered because that light blue was a statement for me and I was never using it. Nobody has made, I think, that comparison, but the right comparison, in my opinion, was between Chanel Rivage and that palette by Dior. And since I have the cluttered Chanel Rivage, that Dior palette is inferior, in my opinion, to me, for my preferences. And so, not worth buying. Now the Dior bronzer. So Dior bronzer and highlighter, both of them have the special packaging. And let's face it, most of us have bought or will buy those compacts because of the packaging. But first of all, that packaging can get dirty and is difficult to clean because it's not a flat surface. And those plastic white daisies can be stained permanently. Will be difficult to clean. If you are in a rush, you have a beautiful compact, but then you can put your dirty fingers, especially the bronzer. With that immaculate packaging, is so easy to get it stained. So keep that in mind. Also, it's a bit juvenile and it's more, to me, it looks like a spring collection that has been delayed more than summer. I don't know. I see that. Or maybe a transition, spring to summer, but still it's spring, in my opinion. But if you judge the makeup itself, well, Dior highlighters are always the same. I mean, they tend to be glittery and it is a very common color. So that highlighter is something that you would buy just for the packaging, right? And in fact, when people understood that there was not only the highlighter, but also the bronzer, everybody went for the bronzer. And the bronzer is orange, it's pure orange on your face. Personally, it's a look that I don't like. And yeah, everybody has his taste, but I prefer makeup that suits me. My best color in terms of bronzer right now, it may be the FARA HOMIDI. Yes, the hype is real. This is a very nice bronzer I will talk about soon in my channel when I will do a bronzer roundup. But my favorites are this one, but even more, the problem of this is that this texture, yeah, is type of cream to powder, is hard. So I prefer more powdery formulas. And therefore, my favorite may be this one, this gem that nobody cared. And you see how dirty it is unavoidably if you are in a rush. And think about it, immaculate white packaging by Dior. Anyway, this bronzer is by Wycon and is fantastic. You see? Is baked formula, so soft. And is light and a tad pinky, but not too much. A tad gray. Is a super bronzer. So this is my favorite. So I'm very curious to know what you think about it and what you have purchased. If you have regrets, if you are happy with the purchases that you made, let me know what are the products that you recently purchased and you liked. In my wish list right now, I have that Hermès Celestial palette, one of the Celine balms, just because I finished my Hermès one. This was my favorite balm, you see. I have still a little bit, but this was my go-to. Is fantastic because is a color of youth. Yeah, is more orange on the bullet, but is a peachy pink on the skin, and I love the matte finish. I don't like balm that are greasy, and this was the Hermès Rose Apricoté 14. And yeah, since they almost finished this, I wanted to buy a refill, but now there are the Celine ones. And I'm thinking about purchasing one by Celine, maybe a different color, a brighter one. So that is in my wish list because it's the closest to Hermès. I like matte balms. And yeah, so that one, and maybe the FARA HOMIDI trio, but not the one with the blue, the one with the black and brown. Maybe that is lower on my wish list, but the first thing I will buy for sure is the Hermès Celestial Glow. And then make a video about that because you know my sweet spot for Harshly, right? Yesterday, I spot this one from still this Kiko Flirt Alert collection that to me is the best in 2016. There's a new collection now by Kiko that's coming up, don't remember the name, and has some Harshly singles, the water eyeshadows. But yeah, I'm not a fan of those colors, are more summery colors. But this one I didn't want to miss. This is the Blush and Glow Duo in color 02. And I was in Milan last week and I went to so many shops in Milan to find it. It was impossible to find. When I came back to Germany, I managed to find it. This to me is, again, Harshly formula. It was a must-have and I didn't want to miss it. And I think I will buy all the other duos from this collection when they go on sale. Right now on the website, they're not on sale yet, but this is sold out, while the other colors will be available for sure with a deep discount. So I was almost going to miss this, but I didn't want to, so I ended up purchasing full price because I didn't want to miss this. But you know my sweet spot for those Harshly formulas, especially in eyeshadows, I have to say. So I don't want to miss that Hermès. And that's it. So until next time, bye.